Hi, I'm Don Rich. Welcome to this episode of Rich Insights. Today we're going to look at how the world is decoupled. Right? It appears the world is delinked. And what I mean by that is, over 2 years ago, nearly 3 years ago now actually, China started to slow. And you can see that in their earnings numbers, and you can see that in their manufacturing numbers and so forth. There's a lot of metrics that would confirm they're slowing. And they continue to slow. All right, they're in an economic downturn. Next in line was Germany. All right, for the last year, Germany's been floating in and out of what's referred to as technical recession. Right? What does that mean, fat guy? Okay, well, technical recession is when their GDP numbers are floating right around zero, right? Just plus or minus negligible amounts. But their GDP numbers are essentially zero. All right, they're not growing, they're not contracting. Now, we're starting to see signs of slowing in the U.S., and we'll take a look at a few more yet today. But the bigger question is, why the disconnect? In this area of 5G technology, with corporations becoming ever bigger, increasing their global reach, the number of multinationals, why is it that it appears that we're becoming more delinked rather than becoming more integrated? Well, the answer is actually quite simple. Right? The U.S. showed signs of slowing at the same time China did. But then we had a massive stimulus package. Probably the biggest stimulus package we've had since 2008. All right? With the second largest stimulus, what are we talking about here? In the second largest stimulus package? Well, the corporate tax cuts, the infrastructure spending bills, and things of that nature, right? Those things provided a huge juice to the economy that the rest of the world didn't have. And so that explains the disconnect in timing. So where are we at today? Well, we're just coming to the end of earnings season, and as we look at tech earnings, right, the earnings from tech companies have been good to, oh my gosh, I can hardly believe how good they are. They are really good. The flip side of that, though, is we recently, as of today, we received 3 pieces of information that were quite concerning. One, we got Caterpillar earnings. If you had to just choose one single thing to look at from a global perspective, Caterpillar is probably as representative as anyone else in the world. And Cat missed on their revenue numbers, and they had soft guidance. And apparently that guidance didn't even include the potential effects of the coronavirus. All right, so Caterpillar earnings were very concerning from a global perspective. We also had a regional manufacturing number. It's called a PMI number, a regional manufacturing number today that was really bad. In fact, it was at recessionary levels. Right, that was the second piece of information. And the third piece is, of course, the yield curve. The yield curve is back to being a concern. Parts of it have inverted, meaning that long-term interest rates have actually fallen below short-term interest rates. So you get paid less the longer you invest in Treasury securities. That's a very unusual thing. That generally signifies that a recession is coming. So again, on the one hand, we got all these tech earnings, and then we got these other 3 very concerning pieces of information. So I've been mentioning for a while that it's often hard to tell that the U.S. is actually slowing because the headline numbers are still pretty good. It's the guts that are starting to become concerning. And I want to show you one of those charts today. Here, let's go to the charts. So every week we get railroad information, the number of railroad cars that are being used in the U.S. Now, again, remember how this works. We've talked about it before. The U.S. largely is a consumer-based economy, right? A lot of people refer to it as a one-trick pony. The U.S. goes only as far and as fast as the U.S. consumer will take them. And the U.S. consumer, we tend to consume imports, all right? And the imports come in on the West Coast. They come in California, and they have to be shipped across country. And so that's why I pay such close attention to the railroad car information. And what we see here is that these railroad cars have really, really slowed down here a lot. Right? That should be concerning. That should tell you that the retailers are not stocking up on as many goods. So I've taken this chart and I've changed it a little bit just to try to make it easier on myself to interpret. So this is the same information, just with a fat boy adjustment to it, if you will. So what we have here is just from a 1 to -1 sort of metric. And what I'm trying to do here is assess how big these pullbacks are relative to previous times in history. And you can see this recent one appears to be pretty significant. And again, you may say, well, this is a homemade statistic. How concerning should we be with it? You can see in the past it's done a pretty good job of indicating periods of economic slowdowns. And so I find this to be pretty worrisome, pretty concerning. So again, there's no problems today, but there's more and more signs that the U.S. consumer is slowing. And when we have a one-trick pony like we do right now in the U.S., we should consider that. Right? We should consider that in terms of the amount of risk-taking that we have in our portfolios, the amount of spending we do in our everyday lives, and things of that nature. So that's the message for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. We'll talk again soon. Thank you.